hi, Suzanna. Thank you very much for coming down to play with us on this Earth Day 2023, where our focus is on humanity and how we can shed some light on our essence and go back to the heart space from where we can operate and be in love with everything and everyone, in particular the animals of this world, because we're not very nice to them. And maybe in this new human that we're creating coming up, we'll have space, lots and lots of space for love. And so thank you. And guys, again, don't forget, this is brought to you by Paul Anthony Wallace, our good buddy with the Eden series, and that is available at Amazon starting today and yesterday, and also in Kindle. So get your copy at paulanthonywallace.com. So thank you, Paul, for sponsoring this. And Kathy, I'll leave it to you, and I'm going to kick back and enjoy this download.
Right. Well, Suzanna hasn't been on Watchers Talk yet, so this is her first time on. I'm really excited, and I'm really excited to introduce her work to you, because if, as Angie, everyone that's spoken has said words, or everything's cascading into the next speaker. So basically, Suzanna, for over 20 years, has been doing a thing called reality crafting and teaching people how to do it. And she is a master architect of this reality crafting technology that she's created. And it's quite visionary, and she's a pioneer. She's created it from downloads from when she awakened. And she was living a regular life, a very good corporate life, and with kids and husband and the whole thing. And then consciousness decided, nope, you're going to do something else. So Suzanna, where would you like to start here? Would you like to tell a little bit of your story, and then we'll talk about the Paradise Codes and all the things, but just because no one, this is your first time on, I'd love for them to get a feeling for your integrity and the quality of what you have to offer. So would you share?
Sure. Aloha, everybody. Thank you for inviting me. Very excited to be here. So, as Kathy said, I was living near Detroit, Michigan. I was married, 2 kids in their teens, and I was working for a consulting agency that was creating training and performance improvement solutions for the auto companies. And I started asking the question, was I really put on earth to teach guys how to run a car dealership? I don't think so. Why am I really here? And the answer came in a very surprising way. One Saturday morning, I woke up with this energy running up my spine. It was real fiery, electric, scary. I just woke up. It woke me up. And I kind of cried out and said, oh my God, what is happening? And I heard a voice that said, you're giving birth to yourself, just breathe. So I had 2 children, so I did the Lamaze breath. and that did help. And for an hour and a half, this energy just kept moving up my spine in waves. And when it settled down, I felt like a completely different person. And I knew whoever I thought I was before was not really who I am. And I could feel this vastness of being, this vast love and light. And yet I could see that who I thought I was like that self-identity, or we call the ego, is not really who I am. It's like a program. And since at that time I was working with teaching computer classes in the corporate world, I saw it as a computer program that just needed to be upgraded. And so, but everything changed. My personality changed, my focus changed, my values changed. And of course, this caused a lot of upset with the people around me. They didn't know how to deal with it. But that voice that said, "You're giving birth to yourself," stayed with me, and it guided me. And so I was looking for something to integrate this new me into my body, because I could see that computer program was still in there, and it would limit my ability to be this bigger version of me, which we all have. We are all that. We all have the computer program ego, and then we have, what we really are is that being of love and light that's infinite. So I was guided to a workshop where I was able to integrate and ground that new part of me into the body. And then the man running the workshop also had developed a consciousness technology to help me get rid of the programming. So I did that, and that really helped. And then I certified in his method and started to share it. And as I was sharing it, that voice would come in and say, "We need you to evolve this," because the way that he was doing it and teaching it was very dramatic and cathartic. You had to, hold the space for somebody and be physically present with them. And they would have all kinds of cathartic things because, they're getting rid of the blocks. And so those blocks were presenting themselves and they were re-experiencing whatever put them there. So anyway, my guide said, there's going to come a time when so many people need this and want to do this, that we want you to evolve it so that it would, so that anybody could do it on their own, or that you could do it for a whole group at one time. And so they helped me to evolve it. And then I got permission from the originator to then bring it to to create my own modality from it. So it's a further evolution, which is now called the Emotional Mental Detox Program. And so after doing that for myself, and I was guided to move to Sedona, and I started doing the emotional mental detox for people. And I was on an accelerated evolutionary journey at that point. So more and more was coming. I was guided to go to Europe and go to these sacred places. And one of them, I got another download, which I heard was called the Sacred Union Program. And that is the advanced. So after you clear out who you're not really, clear out the not you, you start to bring in your higher self into your physical body. And so that body of work is called the Divine Human Upgrades. And that is takes you step by step to integrate your soul and then your higher aspects of yourself. And that's like a continuing gift, because there's no limit to how much we can evolve and how much we can expand. And so as you integrate one level of frequency, bandwidth, and expand another level of consciousness, you integrate that, and then the next one becomes available. So that's the Divine Human Upgrades. And then from that, I then got involved with the Paradise Codes. So Yeah.
Whoops.
Should I go on and talk about that, Kathy?
Yeah, what I think I want to have them understand that the part of the beauty of your sharing is similar to what Patricia shared, where you became aware of a higher purpose and listened and act on it. And right now, during these changing times, so many people are waking up, or they're getting glimpses, and so that I wanted to maybe have you share a little more about the emotional mental detox, because I think there's so much fear that happens when you're disoriented, when you have a spiritually transformative experience, which is, you didn't have to have a near death experience, thank God. Me too. So, but it's disorienting, and you don't have words for it, but you do have direct connection to a higher knowing, but you were fearless. So could you talk a little bit before we go on to the Paradise Codes, which I can't wait to hear all about it, but could you talk a little bit more about the emotional mental detox? Because I think everyone could probably use this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's a series of 6 sessions, which each session is working with a different set of frequencies. So what we did was we identified what are the 6 core issues, or we asked what were the core issues that everybody has in common from growing up in this illusion of separation that we've been subject to. And so there were 6 common core, you could say, if you're talking about computers, core processing errors or core programming errors. And so each one of the 6 sessions works with that. So the first one is everything related to men and male energy. So your father, if you have a male kind of perception of God, as many of us were taught, but also the patriarchy and all the institutions that were created. So it clears out all of the misconceptions, the misinformation, and the beliefs that were created in those first 7 years. And then also those beliefs created events in your life, because your beliefs create your reality. So you have all these events that keep validating those false beliefs, and those events can be cause emotional pain. So we clear it all together, the beliefs, what the beliefs manifested, and the emotions that were generated from that you still have in your energy field that you haven't let go of yet. So it's a very integrated, holistic approach, because we're the commands that you give yourself, that I guide you through, are clearing at all of your bodies, all levels of consciousness, and past, present, future, all of this, all at once, so that nothing can get away. So it doesn't like slip into some other dimension to come up later. So it's very integrated. So that's, and it's all in a guided meditation style. So it's very easy to just listen to the recordings. So I have, after all those years, I just recorded them. And so you can do it on your own. So the first one is male. The second one is female. The third one is fear, anxiety, worry, panic, terror, all of those frequencies. The fourth one is pain, sorrow, grief, all of those frequencies. They're similar, and they're in a similar bandwidth. So we're going through the layers of the onion to the core. And that's the most graceful way to release, because if you go to the core right away, then all this other stuff gets pulled up into your conscious, and which could be manifested. So it's much more graceful. And everything that I do is grace is at the foundation. We're going to do this in the quickest, easiest, most graceful way possible. So yeah, the fourth one is pain, sorrow, grief. The fifth one is shame, blame, judgment, guilt. So that frequency bandwidth. And then the last one is lack and limitation and separation, because that is really what is at the core, is separation consciousness, and everything else kind of comes from that. So we do that one last, because it's when you've cleared out all the rest, it makes that one a lot easier to integrate. So that is the emotional mental detox.
Thank you. Well, I wanted people to understand about this, because number one, this is really a great process for people that are fairly left-brained, that they're going through expanding to be whole-brained, but they don't know how to do it. Suzanna's process is even referred by Bruce Lipton on his website. So she's been doing this she's perfected a way for people to fairly quickly release the layers of the onion and get to the core of who they can be. So then they can craft reality, right?
Right, exactly.
Like Omar has a good question for you, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, let me just turn this down, because it's going ding, 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 ding.
I wondered what that was.
So two things really quick here, Suzanna, is, one, you mentioned, about the awareness of the higher self, becoming aware, that there's something beyond this physical body avatar. Now, I was wondering if, when that happens to an individual, are they operating in 5D? People are always saying that they want to go into 5D, 4D, 6D, and such. I'm just wondering, because, if we look at consciousness as like a dimension, like a master dimension, and because we have such limited, bandwidth or connection to consciousness, once we become aware of ourselves, obviously that connection gets much higher to consciousness. Now, I wonder if that would be considered operating at 5D rather than, operating on like a 5D world. You know what I'm saying? That you can be in 5D but still remain in the 3D world. And then the second question, right? I'm going to bombard you all at once. And the second question is, when you were mentioning separation, right? Now, what happens to me personally, and I've been practicing this for quite some time now, is I go into what I call an observer mode, to where, I separate myself from my physical body when I go to work, and I like literally watch myself working from a third person view. I can see my physical body, and I can I can observe it's kind of hard to explain, but I'm wondering if, and that's what you mean by separation, to where you can separate yourself from this physical body but still be tethered to it, and and still be separated and experience this reality from, I guess, an observation mode.
Yeah, that's not what I meant by separation consciousness, because you've mastered the ability to consciously do that. What I was referring to is the programming that we have growing up, where we perceive, or we are programmed to believe, that we're separate from our higher self, that we're separate from source, that we're separate from each other, that these bodies are all we are. And that we're, even our mind and our hearts are separate because we're programmed to put that wall up. So that's the kind of separation I was talking about. What you do is, after you've, worked so hard on yourself and done, mastered the ability to direct your consciousness and to have your awareness be in more places than just in the physical body. So that's a level of mastery. And then the first question was, if you become aware of your higher self, are you operating from that? And I would say not automatically. So people will have peak experiences, but then, maybe at a workshop or doing yoga or something like that. And then they go back to being their old self, and they're always wanting to get back to that peak experience. So what we're doing is clearing out, with the emotional mental detox, clearing out all the obstacles so that you can be in that higher consciousness and you integrate it. You've got to embody it in order to be it. So that's the process that we're going through right now, is you clear out what you're not and bring in who you are and really integrate it and embody it. And then you live from that.
That's very interesting when you say that, because, I've said it for a long time that, our parents program us and their parents programmed them. And that's kind of how it's been going on for millennia now. And, when you were speaking about the 7-year-old part, the Jesuits came to mind. And the Jesuits say, give us your child until they're 7 years old. And after that, you can have them back. We don't care, because they're going to be what we want them to be for the rest of their life. And that's kind of the shedding and the detoxing that you're talking about, right? To where, we, get rid of the idea that, you're going to be an engineer, you're going to be a lawyer. My daddy was this, your daddy was this, so you're going to be this too. So you're kind of just separating and getting rid of that, right? If I'm understanding this correctly.
Yes, exactly, correctly. And the Jesuits knew this, and they've used it. and it's
various ways too.
Yeah, it permeates our whole culture. And that's because, and this is one of the things that Bruce Lipton explains, is that when in the first 7 years of child development, it's the right hemisphere of their brain that's most active and alive. And it just is downloading everything without any filter. And then around 7 years, and this could be changing now with our new children, it could be earlier, but around 7 years is when the left brain comes online, and everything that it was downloaded, during the first 7 kind of goes into the subconscious. So that's when your self-identity is constructed. So yeah, the Jesuits knew that, and so do a lot of other people that have created our public education system and all kinds of other things. So yeah, so we can undo it. That's the great news. We can undo all that and get back to a blank slate where we're consciously choosing what we want to believe in order to let those consciously chosen beliefs create the reality that we want.
And guess what? We know there's secrets too now. So it's out in the open, and we can correct our ways. As I said in the opening of this conference, that we need to go back to our roots, and we need to go back to the way our ancestors lived, in harmony with the land, in harmony with each other, and to teach our children, the proper education and the real education that they need to be taught. I say on Watchers Talk all the time that, wouldn't it be nice if, when our kids are born, that we teach them, on how to light language and how to meditate and how to astral travel and how to lucid dream. And, really give them that education until they're like 7, 8, 9 years old, and then maybe send them to school for them to start learning how to read and write, and maybe teach them a little bit of math of 2 plus 2. And because that's been missing in our societal upbringing for so many thousands of years now, that it seems like we have this amnesia. But the powers that shouldn't be know this information that you're sharing with us, and they've kept us under this control, which creates this false reality that we're all obviously operating under. And that's something that can be broken, and that's really what our goal is. And when you were mentioning things going into the subconscious, that's like languages, right? When you're a child, you can speak like I myself, I was exposed to like 5, 6 different languages at home. And this was as I was growing up, and still to this day I can speak and understand those languages. Maybe I'm not so well spoken in some of them because lack of practice, no one to speak to, but when someone is speaking, I can understand what they're saying. And that's the subconscious programming too, right? To where that information planted itself in my subconscious, and now it's there indefinitely. But what about like bad habits that people pick up over the years? How what type of discipline is required for an individual to like shed those bad habits, right? It's almost like an addiction, right? Be it whatever it is, bad habits are bad habits, man. Some people spitting down the street. It's
Yeah, well, I've never really been good at self-discipline.
Me neither.
So, but with the emotional mental detox, what you're doing is you're going to the level of where the program was created and clearing it. So habits are programs, and so are triggers, emotional triggers. So that's one of the things that I hear a lot with my people that do the emotional mental detox is, I'm not triggered anymore. I can. So in what that does, it takes away the trigger, it takes away the program. So then you're able to be present in the moment and consciously choose how you want to respond. And so that's true responsibility, the ability to respond consciously and not get triggered into an automatic response. Mm-hmm. So it takes away those programs, and it makes it easier for you then to create new habits that are healthy. But if you can reprogram yourself back if you don't, consciously change your habits, but it makes it easy so you don't have to apply so much discipline and willpower, which never works for me personally.
Responsibility would be like self-responsibility would also, I suppose, would play a big role in that, right? Like to recognize when you're being triggered and to take responsibility for that and say, okay, well, that's triggered me, and kind of just stop yourself, right? And not just react, right? Emotionally reacting, just actually stopping thinking for a moment and then doing what you need to. But I feel that self-responsibility would play a huge part in this, because one, you would have to accept the fact that you have all of this going on within you, and then once you've accepted the fact that you have all of this programming, and taking responsibility for it, then you can begin to easily shed and get rid of it.
Well, what I am hearing from my clients is things like I've done X amount of years of therapy, and so I'm very much aware of why I get triggered. But that awareness doesn't make me stop that reaction. So because the trigger makes you go unconscious, and it makes the subconscious program respond. So clearing out the triggers and the reaction that you usually have is what the emotional mental detox does. So you don't get triggered anymore. And so, you might, a good example is like you're with your family for, Thanksgiving dinner, and your siblings usually, your older brothers are teasing you, and they're trying to poke you and get you to react. And you used to react, and you used to go, whatever you did, cry or lash out or whatever you did. And all of a sudden they do it, and you're like, it doesn't, you don't react to it. And so they get bored and go away. But when you change your programming, other people, every relationship you have is a program. So you've changed your program. It's a pattern interrupt. And so that then the other people have to adjust to you. And so, so you'll notice, like, maybe you just don't react in your pattern way. You don't react at all. You let it go. Or maybe, say you had a trigger of other people's, this is one that I had a client recently. She had a trigger of when she would feel anger in the environment, she would have a PTSD reaction. Mm-hmm. And so it didn't matter that the anger wasn't toward her. It could be two other people arguing, mm-hmm. but she would go into a panic attack. Yep. So clearing that trigger allowed her to be in the presence of somebody who's angry and stay grounded and stay present and still be at peace, and either not react because it wasn't her thing anyway, or respond in a more compassionate way to somebody who's venting their anger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very true. Like at the Thanksgiving, even if you got the old devil's juice in you, right, you can still, you can still not be triggered. Look at your brother and say, I see what you're doing there, buddy. And that makes you into a bigger person. Right. Makes you into, a more self-aware person. To a lot of benefits for that. There really is. I'm beginning to understand what you were talking there. So I had to jump on and really ask some questions, because I myself, I went through I think I went through PTSD, and I'm pretty sure I did, but I've managed to work that out in my life, and it doesn't seem to really bother me. But the thing that really triggers me, I find nowadays, is just like dumbass comments, Suzanna. Like I can be at work or walking down the street or anything. When I hear something stupid, I just I cringe, and it's almost like I want to respond to that. But I'm trying to work on that to the point where I'm not allowing it to trigger me, because like, I don't know, like somebody at work would say something stupid, right? And and I feel, and I get triggered by that, and I feel the need to like kind of correct them. Like, for instance, I'll give you an example. A couple of weeks ago, I was at work, and the superintendent of the site came to me, and he asked me. He goes, "Hey, do you have a first aid certificate if you want to work this weekend?" I said, "I do, but it's at home. It's not on me." And he's like, "Oh, well, it was a Friday at about 3:00. He came to me, and that's the end of the day." And he goes, "Oh, well, if you want to work the weekend, you're going to have to show me your first aid certificate." And I looked at him and I said, "Well, I just told you it's at home. But if you give me a second," and this is where the trigger comes in. And I said, "But if you give me a second, I'll go down to the can and I'll ship one out for you. And you can put that on your desk, because I just told you it's at home." And then I have to stop myself, because I'm like almost just ready to aggressively go at this person, right? So that's kind of, things like that, trigger me. And I'm kind of wondering on how I can stop myself from doing that, because it almost feels like second nature, to where I just want to, just respond to it, right? And it's almost like I can't help myself, could have lost my job, but thankfully they need me more than I need them.
Yeah, well, Oh, go ahead, Kathy.
Well, the reason why I asked Suzanna to talk about this is I think this is going to be what, if people that are following the astrology, astronomy, the energy that's hitting the earth right now, they're saying April is going to be amazing. And a lot of what's coming up are all these triggers. And one of the things I listened to yesterday, they were talking about, be careful because it's coming out of here before you even get a chance to think about it. It's like what you're talking about is they hit something, you don't think about it, and some wound is just showing up and being amplified and usually to the detriment of everyone. It's not a conscious communication model.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I wanted her to bring it up, because I think that first step, if you can't at least be aware and start peeling the onion without having to re-experience every single one of these things. What Suzanna's thing is it's a meditation that, so you're in theta state, or you're in a meditative state while these things are lifting off without you re-experiencing the pain. If you go to therapy, you re-experience the pain over and over and over again without getting off the treadmill. This is a whole different way of peeling it all off so that you get a chance to go, oh, I feel lighter. I'm so much happier. I'm looking at this as a comedy skit instead of a serious. Well, it is. I mean, I think God has a sense of humor.
For sure.
I really do.
He does. That's why laughter is the best medicine, right? God's a comic.
Well, anyway, so that's why I do think that this is the time that everyone needs to have an experience and learn what Suzanna is teaching, because it'll help everyone. It'll help us because we can't blame all of everything that's happening in the world on out there. It's in here.
Mm-hmm.
And until we clear this and our stinking thinking, well, to me, I'm not sure that we'll get to that new earth that everyone's talking about, no matter what dimension you're in. I mean, third dimension, fourth dimension, fifth dimension, whatever dimension, if you want to be in 12th dimension, you can't reach the higher dimensions without joy. Right?
Right. Well, I guess the thing that I really want to get across is you can clear your triggers.
Yay.
And understand what a trigger is. It's from the past. It's that something happened in the past and it was recorded, and everything around it was recorded. So the stimulus, and then your emotional response to that stimulus, and it gets recorded, and somebody pushes that button and that reaction happens. So triggers are not something that you want to have, because it puts you into an automatic, unconscious reaction.
Right.
You cannot be present during a trigger. Okay, so what we want you to be is present so that you can consciously respond in a compassionate way, whether it's compassionate for yourself or compassionate for the other person. So, so you can consciously choose. That's all about reality crafting. You are creating your own reality by staying present, staying conscious, and choosing how you want the next moment to go.
Okay. So Omar, do you have more, or Suzanna has more that I just was trying to set the stage with the emotional detox, but there's more.
Yeah, let's listen more. I'm down. Absolutely. Let me remove myself.
Okay.
Down. So we've got Michael Healy. So we've got about 20 minutes. right?
Wow.
So yeah, we got like 15, 20 minutes, so we're good. Let's
Wow, that's
get
great.
another download from Suzanna. Suzanna, you got to come on Walker's Talk, and we got to have we got to talk, girl, and raise some
Okay.
awareness.
Well,
I love it.
once you have an experience of this too,
Yeah.
Omar, I mean, I was seriously, this is the path to wholeness. We
Mhm.
haven't been taught a path. We haven't seen. We've been going through intermediaries to go to who we really are.
Mhm.
This is a path to wholeness. Any place, anytime you choose.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
This is wonderful.
and
So let's
and
do
the
it.
genius that comes out. So even if you look at Suzanna's backdrop, that's artwork that she created after she went through all of this process. So I mean, it's remarkable. Okay, so now okay, so you discover consciousness 2.0 is what we're going to call the the combination. Is this correct? The combination of emotional mental detox and reality crafting is consciousness 2.0, or
Well, I would say that what I call consciousness 2.0 is just it's the technology of being able to consciously change your consciousness.
okay.
So it's been a foundation in everything that I've created.
Okay. Well, so you figure out a way to clear, then alchemize your reality, and you, and I'm going to show one of your book that is called Sacred Union. So all single girls that are listening, to women that are listening to this, she figured out how to create her sacred other. So okay, so that's why I wanted to get to the paradise codes and the juicy stuff here. Okay.
Yeah.
So do you want to, you can take it wherever you'd like. I'm excited for people to know about all of the beautiful things you offer.
Oh, thank you. So, Sacred Union in the book is referring to the union of your true self with your physical body. So, that's the first one. And from that, then your soul is in your body, your divine essence is in your body. It's broadcasting out into the world and then attracting people who are your soul family. So soulmates, soul family, clients. If you're wanting to attract to your modalities or whatever. So everything that your soul wants to express can be expressed because your soul is radiating out and then attracting everything it needs to fulfill its soul purpose. So that's, and including a partner, if that's what you chose for this lifetime. So that's the book. The Paradise Codes came along. That was really interesting. So around 2004, I was leading an 11/11 Stargate opening in a teleconference, and I heard, congratulations, your mission is complete early. And I was like, I'm so mission oriented. After that, that higher self came in, I knew I had a mission and I knew I had to do that mission. And so I, hearing my mission was over, I thought that was, I have to leave my body now. And, I had just brought in my soulmate and we were getting married and I'm living in paradise that I created and all that. So I upped, I upped my mission and I said, I want to anchor and express paradise through me. Those were the words that came through. And so a few months later, I got a call from this woman. I didn't know her. She had just moved to the island. I'm on the island of Kauai in Hawaii. And she said that she had gotten a request from Mother Earth, from Gaia, that the Paradise codes, the Paradise blueprint was ready to be downloaded, and she wanted it downloaded through Kauai first, and then it would be distributed. And Mother Gaia wanted a group to help anchor it, and apparently asked for me by name. So, I did, and my partner, we went and we had a gathering, and we did a ceremony to anchor the Paradise blueprint. And then I already had like a following in that I was doing teleconferences with. So I brought it to them and did the ceremony with them online. And then they came back to me and said, I always knew that I was here to help restore paradise to earth, but I didn't know how. And you just gave me a way to do it. Can we do this on a regular basis? So I created the Paradise Builders team. Now, these were all women who had already gone through my emotional mental detox program and the Divine Human Upgrade program. So they were to that point and they could hold a frequency. And so every week, every Monday for 4 years, we got together, we connected with the Paradise Council, who were beings from lots of different races, and the archangels and angels and all of that. And for the first year and a half, they guided us on what to do. First thing they said to do is we have to get rid of the enslavement grid, that there was actually a grid of enslavement on the planet, and then get rid of that, and then create a safety net so that when the institutions that the enslavement grid created start to fall away, which is what's happening now, there's a safe place to land. And so we created these, I think we first called it the Emancipation Matrix, and then it evolved and became the sovereignty grid. And the sovereignty grid was, it wasn't like a rigid grid like what was on the earth at that time, the enslavement grid. It was more like a net, and it was flowing, but we could plug it in to the points where the enslavement grid were anchored in the earth. And so anyway, we were getting all kinds of, it was so much fun, because these beings who were on the Paradise Council, they were for all different races. And for the first part, each week, we would have a different race that would come forward and introduce themselves and give us gifts. And sometimes they were teachings, sometimes they were energy tools. One time they took us to a universal peace conference where it was all these, anyway, it was so much fun. And yet we were, following their guidance. And then about a year and a half into it, they said, okay, you remember how to do this. Now you lead it and we'll support you. So then for the next, 2.5 years, it was 4 years altogether, we were inspired, and then they would support us. And then it came time where that mission was complete. And so the Paradise reality, which started from the original Paradise reality, the original creation, and then it was evolved further. And so that was done. And then they asked me, because, working on it like that, I embodied the codes, the Paradise codes. And so they asked me to take the Paradise codes and place them into the power spots in the world. So I did some traveling to do that, but of course there's a lot of power spots, And, travel is not fun sometimes, especially these days. And so I asked if they could upgrade me so that I could do this in my light body and stay here and place it around. So they did that, and I was invited to have my own radio show on the World Puja Network, and every 2 weeks we would place the paradise codes in. We were guided to do the headquarters of some of these, these controllers. So the world headquarters. So I would research, what are the 10, say, media companies, or what are the 10 pharmaceutical companies, or what are the 10 GMO companies. So where are the banks, and then we would put the paradise codes on those buildings, because what the paradise codes do is they clear out all of the third and fourth dimensional stuff that's recorded in the earth. Okay, it's all recorded, and that's why these controllers would build their headquarters on these power spots, because their intention would be empowered by the earth energy coming through there. So they knew that. But when you put the paradise codes, all of their programming, all of their intentions gets cleared out. And then also what gets cleared out are anything in the fourth dimension, like disembodied spirits, or I found that it was like nature spirits, elements that were enslaved by their intentions. So they would be set free. And so once everything was cleared from the third and fourth dimension, all the way down, on that property that we would place the codes, all the way down to the center of the earth, clear out everything else, and then it starts to download the fifth dimensional paradise codes. And then that's when you started to see the pushback. Like when we did it on the or the GMO companies, so they did chemicals and GMO stuff, and there were a lot of it going on the island that I lived on. And after we put those on the headquarters, then that's when you started to see people marching against Monsanto. And that's when we got them off the island. And so we had like 5 different GMO companies on the island, and they're not all of them are gone, but most of them are gone, and they're not operating here like they used to. So, we can see the difference. And so then I, started to have people asking me, can you do this for my property? And I thought, and I asked my guys, I said, well, if we're putting them in the power spots, isn't that radiating out to everything around it? And they said, well, it could have, but since people have created boundaries, so this is my property and it has boundaries, you actually create a boundary around your property. And so in order to get it onto your property, you have to, download it directly onto your property. And so we've done that with some people. I haven't promoted that service, but those people that were in my network knew about it, and it's stopped fires. The wildfires will come right up to the property line and stop. Hurricanes can be all around, and it's not in the area where somebody had the paradise code. So they work. And what's really cool, and I've been working on this with Kathy, is that the Paradise codes originally are fifth dimensional codes, but I am getting upgraded so that I can bring in the ninth dimensional emerald codes and then transmit those frequencies. So that's what I'm working on right now. And I'm excited about that.
Yep. So I wanted to bring Stone on, and Stone Hobbit and Omar. I'll put you on right now. Yay! Hi, Stone. So Stone is in New Zealand, and you're muted, dear. So now you're not.
Hi, everybody.
Aloha, Stone.
Hi. Kia ora. Yes, I resonate with everything you had to say there. I've done the work. I've felt the tingles up the spine. I've felt everything igniting. One of the funnest ones that I had, and I don't know which dimensions these take us into, but it came up the backbone, up the spine, and it went over the head, up the sides, and I felt like I was wearing a helmet, a crown helmet. And then it just sort of felt like it sunk into like I absorbed it in, and it was like, wow, it's just, I knew that it was just another download, another level. It was like, okay, well, I've let go of some part of this onion, of all these layers of information and energy and stuff, and now I've concentrated it down. And the more I concentrate it down, the faster the clearing's happening, the faster the awareness, the more downloads come in. The faster we get, the more downloads we seem to get. So I was like, I love it all. I mean, I haven't written any of the codes or anything like that down, but I've gone through stages, and I've called them levels and stages. Like at one stage, I could be any character I wanted to be because I knew I had the skill set. I knew that if I needed it, it was there. There was a time when suddenly out of the blue, I felt like I had superpowers. I had to save a colleague from someone who was, substance unbalanced, and was holding my friend, in peril of life. And it was like, how did I know what to do? I went into an automatic pilot, and I just let it happen. And it's like I've had different beings come in and do the same thing, like saying, let go. You're not alone. You have never been alone. We're always being watched. We're always being guided. I feel like we get tweaked along the way, a tune up here and there, so we can keep up with them because they're also being upgraded at the same time. I'm an energy reader. I can see auric fields and all sorts. I communicate with Mother Earth. But I just wanted to say thank you. I had lots of questions because I also work in deprogramming, breaking it all down. It's almost like a superpower. I have to break everything down. I have to question the questions. Where did that question come from? Well, just wait up. Let me answer it first, that sort of thing. So I appreciated, what you had to share. So thank you. I mean, I've got lots of questions I could ask you, but I don't know how much time we've got. So we'll have to catch up and have a chat sometime because I loved it.
We'll do more. But I wanted you guys to meet each other because Stone had a difficult childhood and had to clear lots of things. And she has done remarkable things, Suzanna, that the two of you together, it would be fun to watch. That's all I could say. But Omar, you had a question. Did you want to come on too? Yay. Oh, 4-pack.
Yeah,
look at this.
Absolutely.
I've never seen this before.
Look at us go, right?
Yeah, it's just like the Brady's Bunch, only sideways.
I was wondering, Susanna, if like you were mentioning about Monsanto buildings and things like that, can we place those codes on bloodlines as well, like say the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and Disney and things like that, to make them more compassionate, right, towards humanity than what they're currently displaying?
Well, the paradise codes are for the earth. So that's
Mhm.
why we put them on the buildings. And what can happen when you put it on the building and it's downloaded into the environment is that if people aren't aligned with that, or if they can't get aligned with it, they usually leave. And we've
Mhm.
seen this happen, like say with apartment buildings, where there's this big changeover of people leaving and then other people who are aligned coming back. As far as these people that you mentioned, yeah, I think that there is, just like we have those type of bloodlines, we have the other type, the white hat type of bloodlines, and I'm sure that we're all part of that. And
Mhm.
so we're all playing out this play, this, and this is the time of integrating polarity.
Right.
So when we go into the higher dimensions, there isn't duality. So, and I want to just make a distinction between polarity and duality.
Mm.
So polarity is like if you put on polarized glasses and you see that the blues are bluer and the greens are greener and the clouds, the outline, they're just like so much more popping out. So we love polarity because that is what gives us these sensual pleasures, sight and sound and whatever. Duality is when you put a judgment on top of the difference.
Mhm.
So it's the judgment of, well, the sky is blue and that's the only way it should be. And if it's not blue, it's bad. So that's duality. So that's what we're rising above. And the time that we're in, the cycles of the universe, it's time for those bloodlines who were given the ability to be in control for a while. Their time is done. So it's our time now.
Yeah.
And that's all going to, we can see it's all crumbling because they're all being exposed. And so what they did in secret, that was how they stayed in control for so long, because it was secret and we didn't know about it. Nothing can be secret anymore. And so it's like a big planetary detox. So we have high frequency energy coming through the sun onto this planet, and it's detoxing, it's pushing up everything that's not aligned with unity. It's pushing up all duality. And that's why it's so in our face. And the old trying to hold on to that separation consciousness, but it's not working. So it's all good. We're winning. We've won already this battle of light and dark, and it's our time now. And so that's what's so exciting, is when we clear that all out, what do we get to create now? Now we go into reality crafting. What do we want to create? How? And that's what I learned from the Paradise Code work as well, is so many of us incarnated on this planet at this time who hold the higher, I call them the Paradise technologies. They are bringing through all of this, and it's ready to go. They've been working on it all their lives, and it's ready to go. And so as the old crumbles, the new will emerge, and to co-create our special version of that. So that's what I love to do, is work with people to create their version of paradise on earth.
Amen to that. Definitely
Yep.
amen to that. I say we put these codes on the White House in Washington and the Parliament in Ottawa, so that we can get a little compassion going on in those two locations, and maybe this inflation will come down a little bit.
Well, we've done a lot of work with making this transition as graceful as possible. I did a Paradise Code trip in 2009, and my intention, knowing that all of this was going to come to an end, is like, how can I make it more graceful? So that was my intention that I worked with, the Gaia Sophia with. And she said, okay, if that's your intention, then you need to go to these places.
Mhm.
And we did put the codes we didn't put them on the White House. We were guided to put them on the monument, the Washington Monument, because everything was connected to that monument, and it went everywhere.
It absolutely, and that is so true, Suzanna, because from the White House, when the president wakes up and he looks out his window, he sees the Washington Monument, that great big obelisk that's there, and that's to remind the president of like who is really in charge, right? So what a great place to actually put it, so that it just has a spider web effect that goes to where all the center points of this beast is. And again, that's all we can call it. Is it's a beast. It's coming from.
And it has been done. It's those paradise codes are there. They've been working, and that's the evidence that we know they're working is because all of that stuff is crumbling and falling apart.
Beautiful.
Perfect.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Suzanna. This was an amazing download. And what a compliment to our previous speakers as well, because this is all kind of just falling falling together the way it always does, isn't it, Kathy? We put these things together, and and then everyone just seems to kind of just blend and complement one another, and just pick up where the story left off to the next chapter. So this was amazing. Thank you, Suzanna. We definitely got it one-on-one. You and I, and maybe bring Stone Hobbit in on that too, and then the three of us can just have an amazing conversation.
I want to watch that one.
I can see the rabbit hole now.
I dealt with a lot of shit in my life, and foster homes and group homes and prison and living on the streets, and just a lot of terrible things that I've overcome. Right, just through self-reflection and just pondering on the self. So I think it would make a wonderful, wonderful conversation. So really looking forward to that. And again, thank you, Suzanna, and thank you, Kathy, for bringing Suzanna on for this wonderful Earth Day download that really complements to what we are doing here today. Our mission is not for the Earth, but it's for humanity that lives on this Earth. And as we said, Earth has been around 4.5 billion years, and she's seen far worse than us. And we're here, and the Earth is going to be here in 4.5 billion years, but we're not, right? So it's best to become that new human. We don't need the new Earth. We need the new human that can continue to reside on this old Earth, right? Because the mother's old, so we got to take care of her, and the only way to take care of her is by taking care of ourselves. Because if we're living in harmony with ourselves, then that will reflect onto our surroundings. So thank you, Suzanna. I so appreciate you. Love you, sister. This was wonderful.
Thank you for your genius. Thank you, Suzanna.
Yes.
Well, thank you. I love being with you all, and I look forward to more. Thank you.
Thank you. And guys, go and visit Suzanna's website. Thank you to Ronnie for continuously posting the links in the chat room. So SuzannaKennedy.com. Guys, go and check that out. And the beautiful stuff, Suzanna. Thank you very much. Really, really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. Aloha.
Aloha. Happy Earth Day.